I want to move, but I feel stuck. That's something Zach and I hear from a lot of different clients. And the reason they feel stuck is they've got a really great interest rate on their current home and they don't want to leave it behind. We have an example of a client that is in this exact same situation. He's got an interest rate at 2.875 and a principal interest payment of 1705. Now, Zach, you've often called this the golden goose. Talk about that.
So we've got these clients that ended up purchasing or refinancing, and they've got interest rates in the twos and the threes, and it's making their payment so low. I mean, it's a beautiful house for 1705. We're not seeing that today. And the thing is they could look at possibly renting that and getting anywhere from $700 to $1,000 of cash flow per month, and that's really a golden goose because it's so difficult to get that much cash flow out of any property, and it's kind of just one that they've kind of stumbled upon.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's say that Tanner decides to do that. He says, I don't want to lose my 3% rate, but I'm not going to allow myself to be stuck in this home. I'm going to turn it into a rental and go buy a new house. And to get the down payment for the new house, he takes out a little home equity line of credit, which is going to be equal to about 5% of the down payment on the new house. Now, in Tanner's situation, that would add about $169 to his existing 1705. He'd have the two payments, the first and the second. Total payments 1874, but he can rent this thing for $2,900, and that's probably even a conservative figure, which gives him net cash flow, positive cash flow of 1,026 a month to roll into the new home. Now we pulled up on the MLS a home in his neighborhood and said, well, what else is available? What would he consider buying? Here's a house for 625, 6 bedrooms, 3 baths. Now, this particular house has 3 bedrooms up, 3 bedrooms down, 2 bathrooms up, and 1 bathroom down. And it actually has a mother-in-law apartment, which is really cool. So he could rent the basement out if he chooses to. You can see right here that when you add up all the factors of that new house payment with 5% down, that's going to bring him to a payment right around 4,097, which is a big payment. But if you've got that rental from the old house to help, it's going to make it so it's affordable. So here's some new numbers. Here's the payment on the new house. And in this column, this is if he rents the basement of the new house. So he's got new basement rental income of 1,700, and he's got the rental income from the old house of 1,026, which makes his net new payment, like his portion, is only 1,371. That's actually less than the 1,705 he was paying before. Now, not everybody wants to have renters in their basement. So if he said, no, we don't want to do that, well, that's still, after you apply the rent from the old house, still makes his payment only 3,071, which is a lot more palatable. Now, the other thing you got to look at when you consider this, do I rent the old house and move to a new one, is what's really happening. What's the big picture? Because there's so many factors that play into this. You've got principal pay down that's happening on two different homes now when you do this. So the original home, on average over the next 10 years, is going to pay down the principal about $730 a month. That's a lot of money going to a person's bottom line, their net worth. And then the new house adds another $753 a month in principal pay down. And then remember, he actually has $334 a month of extra cash because his old portion of the payment was 1,705, but now it's only 1,371. So he's got that extra money that he can do something with. Let's talk about a potential refi, because we ran these numbers based on an interest rate around 6.5%. But what do you see happening in the next couple of years, Zach?
Odds are really good that there will be a chance to refinance either in 2023 or 2024. Just with what the Federal Reserve's doing in the background, they're going to get inflation under control. It's going to look a lot better here in 2023 or 2024, and rates are probably going to be in the mid to low fours.
Okay, so we ran this with an assumed refinance after a couple of years, and we said, well, what if he gets a rate back down at 4.5%? What does that look like? How does that change the payment? Well, here he is in this column. The payment is going to be around $3,352 either way, whether he rents it or not. But if he rents the basement, he's got that $1,700 coming in. plus the money from the old house, 1,026, which makes his portion of the payment only $626. Remember, he was paying 1,705 before, so his situation has improved quite a bit. If he chooses not to rent the basement, he's still got the rental from the old house to help offset this, which brings his effective payment down to $2,326, which still is very affordable. Now, what happens after the refi? This is really cool because, yeah, the original house is still going down at the average of $730 a month with principal pay down, but the new house actually accelerates, and that picks up to about $985 a month of principal pay down. Plus, remember, we freed up a ton of money because he was used to paying 1,705, and now he's only paying his portion of the payment, 626. So he's got an extra $1,079 a month of extra cash just floating around. Let's talk about appreciation for a minute, because that's another big picture wealth building piece of the puzzle. What can you say about this chart?
Well, Utah's done extremely well in this in the last 30 years. If we look at this chart, Utah and Colorado were the top two states. And on average, we're probably seeing it be close to around 6% on appreciation per year over the last 30 years, which gives us a total of about 600% because it's compounded.
Right.
And so, I mean, on our observation, we're probably going to go with a little bit more conservative of an approach, maybe 3%. But even as we look at both of Tanner's homes based off of 3% appreciation, it's amazing to see how, wealth is created over even a 10-year period.
Yeah, good point. Because that old house goes from 600 up to 806. The new house would go from 625 up to 840 approximately. And that's only over a 10-year period, with half of the appreciation estimated that we've experienced, literal appreciation, over the last 30 years. So here, look at this. This is so fascinating. If Tanner stays in his original home and he gets appreciation of this 206,000 plus the principal pay down, he's increasing his net worth by about 294,000. That's on the old home, which if he stayed in that house, it would just stay like that and that would be it. But if he multiplies this by getting the turning the old one into a rental and getting the new house, look what happens here. Gets appreciation of 215 on the new one, plus 90,000 principal pay down. Plus, remember that extra $334 a month. You run that out for 10 years, it's an extra $40,000. It really adds up. So
Right.
that adds $345,000 to his net worth. You add those two houses together now, this is a $639,000 add to his net worth over a 10-year period. But what happens if he refinances that thing back to 4.5? These numbers up here with the old house don't change, but look what happens down here. Appreciation is still the same, right? That doesn't change. But principal pay down picks up some velocity here. Now it's up to 118. And then you've got the extra money that's floating around, because now it's 1,079 that he's got extra. 129 brings that total to 462,000. Substantial amount. You add that together with the old house, he's got $756,000 of net worth he's adding to his bottom line over a 10-year period. Now think about it for just a second. Who stashes $75,000 a year towards their retirement or their bottom line net worth? Not very many people. And he's making this happen just by owning a couple of homes. It's a fascinating way to look at building a long-term retirement plan. So, I think it's safe to say that small and simple decisions add up over time. We just saw right here that over a 10-year period, the decision to get the second home is a $462,000 decision.
The beauty of the whole thing really is like the compound effect too here. The compounding of the appreciation, the principal pay down, and also the rents. And one thing that we didn't even factor in was rents are likely to go up over the next 10 years. Even if we look at the past 5 or 3 years, we've seen them go up dramatically. And so it really is a $500,000 decision, if he wants to keep the golden goose and move to that next house. So
yeah, so I'd say nobody is stuck. If you're in a house that you don't love, you're not stuck. Instead of thinking, oh man, this 3% is killing me, look at it the other way and say, I've got a golden goose here. I can turn this into a rental and I can let that fund my new house that I do love and build wealth and increase my net worth over time. So if you or someone you know would like to talk about specifics with your situation and run some numbers, we'd be happy to help you analyze that.